Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Virgo March 2018 horoscope forecast. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up is, well, as far as March goes, the sun will be in Pisces from the 1st until the 20th. So the 7th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, this could be about a lot of concentration of power, energy, attention, and focus put into idealism, compassion, and altruism in matters with business partnerships and relationships. It could even be about showing maybe even compassion for one's open adversaries and enemies at this time. And really, it could be where you're doing a lot of sacrificing, perhaps as far as time, if you're in some kind of court battle or legal battle with somebody at this time. And keep in mind, too, that Pisces energy can often be very chaotic and confusing. So it could be a period where you're dealing with a lot of chaos and a lot of confusion, perhaps in legal matters, ones that are very confounding and confusing, and maybe even matters in relationships and business partnerships, and perhaps even focusing in on deception, perhaps in them as well. So anyway, next thing up is the sun will be in Aries as far as March goes from the 20th until the 31st. So the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, this could be a lot of focus, concentration of power and energy, perhaps put into courage and fortitude, aggression and assertiveness, and really in perhaps matters connected with transformation and intimate and sexual relationships. It could even be dealing with matters of taxes, insurance at this time, and even matters connected with death as well. And the thing about it too is this could be a time too where if you're anticipating some kind of an inheritance, this could be the time where you're more likely to speak up and maybe even be more combative and confrontational regarding it, especially if you feel like you're not maybe getting what you're really you felt in your heart you were entitled to, as far as maybe you might be more likely to contest a will, for example, at this time. So anyway, and also too, it could be really about being very more a concentration of energy into speaking out, also in matters connected with a sexual partner, someone you're in an intimate relationship with. So anyway, people, next thing is that the full moon will be in Virgo on March 1st, so the first house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, it could be a period where maybe Virgo becomes full, so to speak, and tired of maybe others may be judging, being overly critical or judgmental of their physical body, and especially if this is the actual first house in a natal chart, because that is connected with the physical body. And it could be too maybe where Virgo reaches a culmination of something where that's connected with the appearance and the physical body. It could be the completion of maybe a workout program that was where Virgo worked out vigorously to really give themselves a more healthy, like Virgo appearance. This could be perhaps a period too where in some cases, especially if this is the literal first house, where there can be, I mean, full moon sometimes could be about a revelation and unveiling of something, and it could be a physical situation too, connected with Virgo, such as something with the intestines, the spleen, or maybe even ulcers or IBS, which IBS, of course, irritable bowel syndrome. And it could be a period too where maybe you got tired of maybe somebody that was from your early childhood, perhaps that was overly judgmental, critical, pedantic, and really hypercritical of you. And really, and maybe a person that might have been, really every time you saw them, practically it was just one derogatory remark after another. And maybe it's a time where Virgo maybe finally got sick and tired of it. And it could also be, going back to the appearance, something where maybe also, which might have been really a systematic, something that Virgo did to make their appearance more healthier, and done with and really done with a lot of being very systematic and methodical in doing so. And anyway, well, the next thing up is the new moon will be in Pisces on March 17th, so the 7th house as well be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, well, this could be about, in some cases, a new relationship if Virgo is unattached. And it might be one that is connected with idealism, altruism, compassion, and self-sacrifice. It could also be a new business partnership that might be Pisces-like, and it might simply be something where you just collaborate with somebody else on. It could be something connected with the metaphysical, which includes astrology, something, it could be chemistry, photography, doing some kind of psychic business or medium, or working as a medium and doing it with somebody. Another thing too is, in some cases too, unfortunately, this could be the beginning of a new confounding and confusing court situation, or maybe an open adversary that might be new, and it could be somebody that might have a Pisces sun, moon, or ascendant, or simply somebody that embodies Pisces-like characteristics. So in some cases too, I mean, 7th house is about documents, so it could be something where a new document kind of maybe comes around at this time, and maybe there's something about it that's, me being Pisces, might be something very unclear, ambiguous, or nebulous about this document as well. So anyway, next thing up is Mercury will be in Pisces as far as March goes, from the 1st until the 6th. So the 7th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, this could be a period more where there might be more fantasizing as far as thinking goes, in terms of maybe having somebody in a relationship if you're unattached. This could also be perhaps where you make more decisions with others in general that are based more on intuition, more on intuitive hunches. At this time, maybe decisions regarding legal matters, as far as that goes, might be done with a little more intuition. And also communications with a business partner, or a significant other, or even somebody that maybe you're in an open court battle with. It could be an open adversary, and it might be a little bit more cryptic and ambiguous than usual at this time. And be careful that these people might also be very deceptive in their communications as well. And keep in mind that Mercury is also about short journeys, so you might be giving a lot more short journeys than usual, going on short journeys than usual, more with a significant other, with somebody you might be in a business partnership with, and it might be done with a lot of this Pisces like compassion and philanthropy and self-sacrifice connected with it. So anyway, next thing up is Mercury will be in Aries as far as March goes, from the 6th until the 31st. So the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted, and it will be retro from the 23rd until the 31st. So anyway, at this time there might be more assertive communications and aggressive communications, perhaps in matters associated with the sexual partner, with someone you're having an intimate relationship with. This could be a period too where you might enjoy things that are combative a little bit more with these people as well. As I stated before, someone that you're having an intimate relationship with, a sexual partner. It could be something like boxing, karate, wrestling, something that it might be of a combative nature. You might simply just enjoy debating with them and arguing with this person actually a little bit more than usual. This could be Also, really, it's also at this time too where you're likely more to speak up in matters connected with insurance matters, with taxes and shared resources as well. Something has disappeared, something where you're involved in a shared resources scenario with, and if you feel that you're not getting what you're entitled to as far as that goes, and this shared resource situation is like 90% mine and 10% yours, you're more likely to speak up about it at this time than usual. Keep in mind, though, that Mercury again will be retrograde as far as March goes from the 23rd to the 31st, so there might be a little bit more review, perhaps prior to making these outspoken Aries-like remarks. So anyway, next thing up is Venus will be in Pisces as far as March goes from the 1st until the 6th. So the 7th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time for Virgo, Virgo needs to be careful, perhaps more of a deceptive charm, perhaps coming from a significant other, somebody they're in a business partnership with, or even somebody they're in a court battle with, or an open adversary, somebody that may be trying to pretend that maybe they're, for example, trying to pretend like maybe they're willing to reconcile and have a reconciliation, where this is really really a lot of this, more it could be very deceptive. So anyway, and also this could be about the enjoyment of fantasy, illusion, the metaphysical, which can include astrology, and relaxation, a love of lethargy, perhaps with a significant other at this time. And the thing is, though, if you're in a business partnership, that might be a period where you might be feeling a little bit more lethargic than usual, and it could even, and if you have other things in your chart that reaffirm and reinforce this, such as, say, for example, transit Neptune making an adverse aspect to your natal Mars, you might even feel more where your energy is dissipated, and you might not feel like doing things that are associated with the 7th house at this time. So anyway, and if Virgo is unattached at this time, there might be a good chance perhaps of finding a prospective significant other, romantic partner that may be a sun, moon, or ascendant in Pisces, or simply somebody that embodies those characteristics. So next thing up is Venus will be in Aries as far as March goes from the 6th until the 31st. So the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, Virgo needs to be careful about maybe impetuous, impulsive spending, perhaps on matters with making a major change or transformation in one's life. Also even taxes in some cases, because if there's an opportunity, maybe like say Virgo owes a lot of money to the IRS, for example, and if there's a way to maybe make a smaller payment, do things in smaller payments as opposed to maybe trying to spend everything all at once, as an example, that might be a better solution at this time, because Aries and Venus and Aries energy could really be a lot about impulsive and spontaneous type spending, and might regret it later on. So anyway, and also this could be the enjoyment of things really that are combative at this time. It could be really about maybe having the enjoyment perhaps of things like such as karate, and maybe even really wrestling or boxing, and doing things of that nature, really perhaps with a significant other at this time. Or if you're in a good relationship, say when you're in a business partnership and it's a friendship as well, it could be with this person as well. So anyway, and also it could be a time where you express matters of the heart with a lot more assertiveness at this time, and a lot more courage and fortitude, in being in the 7th house. We're talking about the 7th house, of course, of the significant other. It's really a good place for that. And anyway, and if Virgo is unattached, this could be a very good time, opportune time to meet somebody, because we're talking about Venus and the 7th house, and it might be somebody you meet that might be a sun, moon, or ascendant in Aries, or somebody that may simply embody those characteristics, and it might be something It might be, since we're talking about, I'm sorry, I made a mistake on that. The March, going back to this is actually going to be the eighth house, Venus and Aries, and the eighth house is what is emphasized and highlighted. This going back to that, it's not, I made a mistake before I said the seventh house. It's actually where you might meet a sun, moon, or ascendant in Aries, or somebody that simply embodies those characteristics, and it might be somebody that might wind up being a very powerful connection, where it might be a very strong sexual or intimate relationship as well. So sorry about that, people. But anyway, next thing up is Mars will be in Sagittarius from March 1st until the 17th, as far as March goes, from the 1st until the 17th. So the fourth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, there might be more philosophical differences, perhaps with somebody that is in the family, or somebody they feel close to home with, so to speak. At the same time, this could be about a lot of exuberant and enthusiastic energy, perhaps put into matters at home, whether it's making any changes or doing any work around the house. It could also be an exuberant, enthusiastic energy put into one's traditions, and maybe getting in touch with one's roots as well. And also, this could be about perhaps really maybe expending some anger and energy into something sports related, something outdoors, and it could be done with somebody in the family or somebody that they feel close to home with. So, and it might be where one might work out vigorously in the home, as an example. And keep in mind too that the situation with perhaps a family member or someone they're close to home with might be a little bit more contentious and acrimonious than usual at this time, and it could be a lot of that veritable Sagittarius truth that is blended into this as well. So, you know, with a lot of arguments that, with a lot of blunt and forthright statements. So, anyway. Next thing up is Mars will be in Capricorn as far as March goes, from the 17th until the 31st. So the fifth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, this could be really a lot of discipline, serious and consistent energy put into matters of the heart, into a love relationship, matters with children, and also perhaps even things of enjoyment. And things and maybe even hobbies as well at this time. And really it's about Mars and Capricorn could be a lot of energy put into working within the parameters of things, so to speak, doing things where you're not really going outside any rules or regulations, and doing so in matters of the heart with children, and really, and even in things of enjoyment as well, things of a creative endeavor. And really, to keep in mind, I mean, the fifth house is also about gambling and speculation, but because you're talking about Capricorn energy, the energy is a little bit more conservative, so it's less foolhardy than Sagittarius. So if there is any energy put into gambling or speculation, it'll probably be more limited at this time than usual. Keep in mind too that there might be the situation with children, somebody that you're in a love romantic relationship with might be more contentious and acrimonious than usual, and it might be arguments over career matters and responsibilities, arguments of a very serious nature at this time. Anyway, next thing up is Jupiter will be in Scorpio still. So the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, this could be, I mean, keep in mind, I've talked about this previously in videos, that Jupiter can be paradoxical. I mean, it is very strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have a tendency to enlarge and expand issues. And it could very well enlarge and expand perhaps surreptitious and even nefarious activity in one's neighborhood, or even matters with siblings at this time. At the same time, this could be a lot of enthusiasm and exuberance doing something Scorpio-like in one's neighborhood, and it could be doing some kind of same transformation with vehicles, rebuilding cars. It could be mechanical work on cars in general. It could also be, say, doing recycling with your neighbors. And this could be, too, also a lot of enthusiasm and exuberance into communications in general at this time. And it could be connected with Scorpio-like things such as astrology, the occult, supernatural, magic, alchemy. And keep in mind, too, that that Jupiter will be retrograde as far as March goes, from the 8th until the 31st. So at this time, it could be a little review over some of those Scorpio-like things you might be exuberant and enthusiastic about that are in your neighborhood. It could even be maybe even being overly probing in some cases, maybe in matters connected with siblings and your neighbors. So there are those are some things to look at as far as this goes. Now, next thing up is, well, Saturn will still be in Capricorn, so the 5th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, there may be more, Virgo might be experiencing more restrictions and limitations in matters connected with fun, in their enjoyment, their amusement, things which matters with children, matters with romance, which it could be causing a lot of Capricorn-like despondency and really making Virgo feel more melancholy than usual. And also, in some cases, this could be about Virgo having to take care of perhaps a debilitated or sickly child, or it could be somebody that they're in a love romantic relationship with. Maybe somebody that even figures prominently in their creative endeavors or their hobbies, perhaps. This too. Also, this could be about taking serious responsibility into matters connected or pertaining to gambling, speculation. It could also be matters with children, matters of the heart, matters connected with love and with romance, and really into maybe just serious responsibility and really maybe having some fun for yourself. So anyway, well, the next thing up is, well, Uranus will still be in Aries, so the 8th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, well, Virgo might be experiencing more shocking behavior, perhaps from somebody that they're in an intimate or sexual relationship with. This could also be a completely unexpected inheritance could come in at this time, and also at the same time, this could be really about really some unusual activity that could be taking place, perhaps with maybe with one's credit card at this time. There might be some kind of maybe something unexpected or unpredictable happens in matters with taxes, such as a completely unexpected tax break at this time. This could also be too where maybe somebody that you're in a sexual or intimate relationship with might be experiencing some kind of ingenious qualities, or maybe acting a little bit more unusual and bizarre than usual. So those are some things to look at as far as this goes. And this also could be where one might make some kind of unorthodox transformation or major change, and it could be done through something Uranus-like. It could be something connected with an esoteric subject such as astrology, and really being that this energy is Aries, it could come in a very abrupt manner as well. So, and maybe they make a major change through through ingenuity, perhaps as well. An energy being in Aries, that could be very pioneering. So anyway, Next thing up is Neptune will still be in Pisces, so the 7th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, well, Virgo might have more difficulty maybe in deciphering character, a composition of others, so to speak, than usual. And Virgo needs to be careful to not be duped, say, by false prophets at this time, or get involved in some, I guess you could say, toxic relationships. And even open adversaries might be really more deceptive and unclear than usual at this time. And Virgo might also have to deal with in some remote cases, perhaps somebody that they're in, perhaps with a significant other that might succumb to drugs or alcohol use at this time. So anyway, also this could be too about, I mean, 7th house could be like others in general. So Virgo also needs to be very prudent in terms of not maybe attracting maybe drug users and people that are alcoholics into their life at this time. And really the thing too about this is Virgo, I mean, Neptune energy could be very dissipating and dissolving, so Virgo also needs to understand that this could be a period where relationships might be dissolving at this time for them. At the same time, open adversaries may as well, so that could be one positive, and maybe a legal issue might start to evaporate and dissolve, so to speak, at this time. Well, next thing up is Pluto. Will still be in Capricorn, so the 5th house is will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, this could really be, in some cases, I know a lot of you don't want me to say the dreaded D word, but I always do it anyway. I know it sounds a little morose and morbid, but this could be in some cases about the literal death of a child or somebody you're in a romantic relationship with. This could also be where maybe you feel your fun and enjoyment is destroyed and obliterated at this time. There may be more power struggles with children, with somebody you're in a love romantic relationship with. And also you need to watch an instinct for maybe compulsive gambling or obsessive gambling at this time. And being in Capricorn, one of a very serious nature. And you might feel that there's something very maybe power from the government maybe is playing a role in maybe your enjoyment at this time, or maybe lack of at this time. So it could just be something maybe because there's certain government regulations or provisions that you might feel they're prohibiting you from having the enjoyment you want, and also it doesn't help that we're Saturn being in Capricorn and having the 5th house emphasized with that as well. So anyway, well, the next thing up is the North Node will still be in Leo, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, well, when the North Node is in transit, it can often be about issues we have to confront and address. And this could be where you might have to confront somebody that maybe someone that's prominent in your private life that might be rather arrogant, domineering, overbearing, and bombastic at this time. And it might also be where you might have to deal with issues where of being extravagant, maybe having to spend more than maybe you'd like, and it could be over on some kind of limitation or restriction you have, or it could also be where at this time too, I mean, in some isolated cases, sometimes it could be about dealing with the mental illness as well, because the 12th house is about that. And being Leo, it could be something like delusions of grandeur, or something that is just very large and generous in general. And also this could be about where maybe it's about dealing, as I stated before, with limitations. And one could be gregariousness, because Virgo is not really exactly extroverted, and Leo often falls on the 12th house cusp of restrictions and limitations in a solar or natal chart for them. So, and it could also be where Virgo might be really being directed toward being more generous and magnanimous in matters connected with those less fortunate than themselves, such as the impoverished, the homeless, and the oppressed. Next thing up is the Black Moon Lilith will still be in Capricorn, so the fifth house is what will be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, well, when the Black Moon Lilith is in transit, this can often be about an unveiling and revelation of something. And in this case, it could be somebody, maybe a child or somebody they're in a love romantic relationship with that might be exhibiting ruthless, overambitious, and tyrannical qualities even, and one that's coming out that's really showing a very callous and undemonstrative side. And at the same time, too, this could be something where Virgo maybe something comes out, gets revealed, connected with Virgo, or the cat's let out of the bag, so to speak, figuratively speaking, that Virgo doesn't want unveiled but may come out. And it could be something of a very maybe depressing love life, or a life where they have very limited enjoyment, where they feel very restricted and limited in their enjoyment, or maybe there's limitations and restrictions connected with their love and life and children perhaps as well, which of course could cause a lot of this Capricorn-like despondency. And also too, that this could be about a lot of times the Black Moon Lilith energy could be about connected with a formidable adversary, and sometimes it could be a Capricorn Sun, Moon, or Ascendant in this case, or somebody that simply embodies those characteristics. And it could be somebody that maybe figures prominently in their enjoyment, perhaps somebody in their love life. It could be a child in some cases. It could even be somebody that maybe they know through some kind of gambling or speculative venture. And also too, it could be where something comes out where maybe where something associated maybe with a gambling issue comes out at this time, and being in Capricorn, it could be one which really causes a lot of this dejection and this despondency, and something where it could be one of a very serious nature. So anyway, last but not least, Chiron will still be in Pisces, so the seventh house as well be emphasized and highlighted for Virgo. So at this time for Virgo, well, Virgo might be at this time dealing with, Chiron could be about emotional wounds, and this could be for Virgo perhaps suffering maybe by being overly gullible, maybe with others in general, or with a significant other, or someone they're in a business partnership with. It could be by not seeing the fine print in documents. There might be some suffering going on, and even dealing with chaotic, confusing, and confounding relationship, and being victimized by open adversaries. Perhaps it could be a toxic relationship, or a relationship with somebody that might be everything but a compulsive drug user or alcoholic, or it could just be an alcoholic or drug user is what I'm saying. Recreational drug user, and maybe dealing with just others in general that are very duplicitous and deceptive, and really really where you felt like you might have given a lot of this Pisces like self-sacrifice and got very little in return, and maybe been duped and been used by others, which could be causing a lot of emotional upsetment and suffering. But keep in mind at the same time that remember that Chiron is the wounded healer. So it perhaps in ways where you might be suffering, and at this time you might be able to help someone else deal with a comparable situation like what you're going through with the Chiron and Pisces in seventh house. But you can do so, you could help them out and do so with a lot of the Pisces like compassion, empathy, and self-sacrifice. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my Virgo March 2018 horoscope forecast. Stay tuned next time, where I'm actually going to be delineating the chart of Nicholas Cruz. He was that person that evidently has he's actually being charged with killing those people at that Parkland, Florida school. So anyway, two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.